guess you can see today that I'm not in a game. So what I wanted to talk about today was Lua scripts and kind of some of the stuff that you can do in any of the add-ons really that you can find in the workshop. I'll start by saying the workshop is awesome. I'm very happy that Steam has included this in recent years. I remember back in the day when Gmod, for example, just came out. There was no workshop, so everything you got as far as an add-on, you had to go to the separate site and get all the resources that way. Some stuff did require other add-ons, and then you'd have to then go to another site, download those resources, and then it was a pain in the butt. So having it all in one place where I can basically just click a plus sign to add it to my collection is awesome. That being said, being the kind of person that I am, and I'm sure that a lot of you are, sometimes you want to modify the modifications. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's fun to experiment around with those things and change what you can. And the original creators, I have never seen somebody get mad unless you're trying to like take full credit for their original creation, which that kind of just goes without saying in this day and age. So I want to look at some of the different add-ons that I have and kind of show you the Lua files and go over them a little bit. Now, I'm by no means an expert in Lua in any way, shape, or form, but when you look at these, you see that they're not that complicated. So, just for example, I'm going to go into Eric's fishing mod. So when I click into the folder, I can see that the materials folder, models folder, and the Lua folder. So I'm going to click the Lua folder. And then if I actually go, let's just do weapons for right now. So this is for the fishing rod weapon for the add-on itself. So, and I've already got this part set up, but when you first go to open a Lua file, you're going to need to establish which program you want to run it with. You can use any text editor. I just choose Word just because I happen to have Word. So it's kind of whatever you want. It'll take just a second here. I'm going to open it so that you can kind of see what's going on. So when I first started messing with this, what was interesting is that these Lua files seem to be very clean, easy to read, and most of the writers put a lot of comments in to tell you like what is for what. Eric's doesn't have a lot of comments, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You can kind of pick and find the settings here. So I'm trying to look for something because there was one where you can change from like third person or first person when you're using the fishing rod, or where the camera will focus on the bait. And of course I can't find it now, but I wanted to show it to you. And I might have passed it, but that's okay. So I'm going to go to another one because this is kind of a big one anyway. Let's go back. I'm just going to go to entities over here. So this one I know I've already looked at just because it's to give you an idea. So this is for the bouncy ball and like the fun and games in the entities, and same thing. So it's all pretty just straight laid out, and these are comments. So you can see here where the author has actually put comments in so that you can see what's going on in the code itself. And when you're doing this, you don't be afraid to mess something up. I mean, there's plenty of documentation online to find what you want to do and achieve that. Just for example, GitHub. This guy's got a really good collection of Lua scripting information. So for like Dark RP, for example, if you wanted to modify that game mode, he's got a lot of documentation on there and a lot of the original coding for it. So you can kind of just basically cut and paste it into your code and just kind of edit it from there. And I'll show you that in a second. So let's look here. So like on this one, you know that when you eat one of these balls in the game, you gain health. So right here. So this code right here. So the comment is give the collecting player some free health. And then it's got this code right here. So when it's activated, set health, parentheses, health plus 5. That's pretty straightforward. I mean, that doesn't get any clearer. So I could adjust this if I wanted to change the effects that the bouncy balls would have on my players. I could change that to 15, I could change it to 20, I could change it to 50, whatever I wanted, and it would add that amount of health to their to the player. Now let's go. I'm going to show you the Dark RP one just because they've included basically in their add-on a separate script for you to be able to edit. So you don't have to edit like the main files or anything. There's actually these scripts here where you can add in custom things, see, and you can edit these instead of editing like the main files. So you can't have to worry about breaking anything or screwing anything up. And in any case, with any of these add-ons, you can do that and just back up the original and then just replace it if you screw up. So you just have to play around with it, and like I said, just don't be afraid to do it. It's not that tricky. So in this one, for example, this is nice because this is how I actually found that GitHub documentation. So the default jobs for Dark RP can be found at his link right there. So I can literally go on there and copy and paste the code, pop it down here, and then just edit whatever I wanted. So just looking at this, these are my custom classes for my Dark RP server. So the job name is pirate. The weapons, I've already extracted the weapons and got them working. So I mean, these are, you just have to basically type in the name of the Lua file, and it will give you those weapons whenever you change to that class in the game. So there's a lot of documentation. Like I said, you just kind of have to dig around, and you can find how to do any of this pretty easily. Like I said, I'm not an expert, and I just started with this, and it's pretty straightforward. There's a lot that I don't know how to do, like, but for the most part, I can go into these and figure it out. So it's a way to really get even more customization out of customizing your game, which is pretty cool. So just to see something, I'm going to do a little experiment here. I know I have some extracted things, so I'm just going to go into one of these randomly, and I haven't actually looked at the Lua files on most of these. So let's just try the katana I just want to see what's in here. Okay, so sounds. So these are resources, obviously. So the resource.add file looks like it would add a sound resource for that weapon. There's the author. Field of view. Is it spawnable? Yes. Is it admin spawnable? Yes. Hold type, so I guess it changed how your hand models actually hold the weapon. Use hands. Okay, so damage. See, I can actually adjust the primary damage of the weapon. So it's set at 1 now, and I'm glad I looked at that because I would really like to make it a little bit stronger. So that would be where I could adjust that. The delay of the weapon, so I guess how many times you can swing it per second, or however you want to measure that. Clip size -1, I'm assuming because it doesn't have ammo. And so see, these are where those sound resources come into play, it looks like. So yeah, so ooh, now that I'm looking at that, I wonder if this is, that might be where you change the damage. I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. I think it would still be up where we looked earlier. But either way, so again, I didn't look at this. I didn't look at this before I went in here to do this video, but you can see that most of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory for the stuff that the typical person would want to edit. Let's do another one just to see. I'm just curious now. This one might be more complicated. So there's the instructions. You can make it admin only, use hands, no. Again, clip size -1, I'm assuming it's just because you don't have any ammo for that. Okay, so yeah, this is a lot more complicated than the other one, but either way, if you really look into this, I'm not going to go too far into this now, but if you were to look into it, I'm sure you'd be able to figure out how to make it more powerful or less powerful or whatever you wanted to do. You could probably add in custom models instead of the rocks that this throws in the game. You could probably add in some other stuff, but I've never done that and I'm not too sure. But anyway, that's all I wanted to kind of go over today. I just wanted to show you, kind of give you an intro into the Lua stuff, because I think a lot of people are kind of timid about going in and messing with that kind of stuff, but really when you look at it, I think it's actually a really neat code, and I'm definitely going to try to learn more about it, and especially just to try to keep my server up and going and keep it interesting. And you kind of have to play around with things and get new things all the time. So that is basically my brief cover of Lua scripting. I'm sorry again that I'm not an expert, but I think you get the idea. Oh, also real quick, I just wanted to show, if you don't have it already, you should probably get a GMAD extractor, which is this, because most of the files that you get when you actually add the add-ons from the workshop, they don't come in folders like this anymore. Like they used to when you had add-ons, you'd have the whole folder. They actually come in .gma files, and these are basically like zips, but specific to Gmod. So you get the Gmad extractor, and you can extract it just like a zip file into one of these folders. So I actually, Fishing Mod came in a Gmad or a GMA, and I extracted it into the folder so that I could look at it and play around with it. And again, in the same case with those weapons I was showing you earlier, to get those, there might be an easier way of doing it, but the way that I figured out that worked, to get the classes that I built for Dark RP, to get those classes to be able to get those weapons on class switch, I had to extract them and actually put these into the weapons folder instead of just having them as a GMA in the add-ons. And that worked fine. So I played around with that for a while and tried different things, and that's what finally worked for me. So I'm not sure if there's an easier way to do it. If you know of one, I'd like to know, but otherwise, there you go. So that's that, and I hope you guys feel a little bit more comfortable with the thought of modifying your add-ons and looking at some of the stuff that you could possibly do with them and making them a little bit more interesting, or just tweaking them to fit your personal needs and desires. So that is all. Thanks for watching.